All right, so in these first few lectures, we're going to be going over some pretty basic but super important concepts that are going to be with us for the entire course. In fact, I think the concepts that we go over here in these first few lectures are concepts that are going to be mentioned in virtually every single lecture you watch this semester. So it's really important that you get your head wrapped around these concepts, understand what they mean, how to apply them. I recommend that as you watch your lectures each week that you take notes of anything that I go over that you think is important to remember, or things that I tell you explicitly. Write this down, make a note of this to yourself. And in fact, I recommend that you take all of your notes from video lectures right on your chapter summary handouts. Okay, so there's, if you didn't buy your chapter summary packet from the CR bookstore, you can always download and print your own copy by going into our Canvas site, going to the top of the modules page, and opening up that chapter summary module. And you want to make sure you have paper copies of those chapter summaries so that you can be taking notes on the chapter summary handouts as we're going over the corresponding lectures. And that way, when you get to the end of your thought primers, and you have to take that quiz in Canvas that's based on the material that's in the video lectures and on the chapter summary handouts, you'll have all of your notes in one place, and it'll just make it that much easier for you to be successful on your quiz. All right, so the first concept we want to make sure we understand is a statement. What is a statement? It's simple. It's just a sentence that's either true or false. Okay, so there's lots of different kinds of sentences. And some sentences are sentences that we would say, oh, that's either true or false. I might not know whether it's true or false, but I know that it's one or the other. I just might not know which one. And if we look at a sentence and we say that kind of sentence there is one that we're going to describe as either true or false, that tells us it's a statement. Now I'm going to give you a series of 10 statements. And what I want you to do is I want you to apply our definition of a statement being a sentence that's either true or false to each one of these to determine for yourself whether or not it meets the criteria of being a statement. And what I'm going to ask you to do is that you pause your video, and you're going to see me doing this a lot during this course. And I know it's tempting for you to just say, oh, he can't see me, even though I really can. No, I can't. He can't see me. I'm just going to go ahead and blaze through this, and I'll just kind of watch it as he goes over the answers. And that's no fun. You want to make sure that you're having an experience that would be analogous to one where you were in the classroom with me. So if you were in the classroom with me, I'd have you sit next to your table mates, and I'd say, okay, you guys figure out which of these is a statement. Well, you don't have table mates. You just have lonely you sitting there, but you can still have some fun and learn more by pausing the video when I tell you to, and doing whatever task it is that I've set for you. All right, so go ahead and pause the video, and when you've recorded your answers for each of these, identifying which are statements and which aren't, go ahead and restart the video, and then we'll reveal the answers. Did you really pause your video like I said? Okay, all right, you're on track then. All right, so let's see, which of these sentences are statements? Annika is in logic class. That's a statement. Right? Because it's either true or false at a given moment. If you walk into a room full of people and you say, hey, look, there's Annika, and this is logic class, therefore this statement is true. But we might walk into a room and say, where's Annika? And we say, she's not here. Oh, okay, well, she's not in logic class then. Okay? So number one is a statement. But number two, cool, that's not a statement. Cool, that's not true or false. Right? It's more like a sound we make, like ouch. To exclaim something, but it's not a statement because we wouldn't say true or false. But Evelyn is cool is a statement, okay? Because it's either true or false that Evelyn is cool. Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, wait a minute, that's just an opinion. You know, whether or not it's true or false that Evelyn's cool depends kind of on the person who's saying this, and that's true. But opinions are expressed as statements. And what we have to do to determine whether or not a particular opinion should be regarded as true or false is we'd have to understand exactly what the terms of the opinion are. So in this case, if we could come to an agreement about which Evelyn we're talking about and what the definition of cool is, then we can determine whether or not this statement is a true or false one. Okay? So if I say to you, hey, for the purposes of this statement, I mean, by cool, I mean body temperature less than 97 degrees. And you say, okay, well, let's take Evelyn's temperature, and we point the thermometer at her head, and it comes up as 96 or 95 degrees. And we'd say, oh, yeah, you're right. It's true that Evelyn is cool by your definition of cool. But maybe on the other hand, you say, well, my definition of cool isn't It doesn't have to do with body temperature. It has more to do with personality characteristics. So maybe I say someone is cool if they play the banjo, and if they surf or something like that. And we say, all right, I accept your definition of cool. Does Evelyn do those things? And you say, well, no, she plays the accordion. We'd say, oh, okay, definitely Evelyn is not cool then. So this statement would be regarded as false, okay? So keep that in mind as we progress through the course, that when we have beliefs or opinions that we express, they are going to be either true or false, and it's going to depend largely on how we define the terms relevant to those beliefs or opinions. All right, number 4, head over to the cafeteria for a free burrito. Not a statement, okay? It's more like a command, telling somebody to do something. We wouldn't say true or false. It doesn't seem like those terms apply to this particular sentence. But they do apply to number 5. This class is the best class you'll ever take. Okay? Again, it's an opinion, right? It's a preference, or it's a belief, an opinion. But it's either true or false depending on what the terms of the statement mean. What's this class? Is it Phil 12, Introduction to Logic? And what exactly constitutes the best class? What are the criteria that we would use to define best class? And if we can come to an agreement on how to define those things, then we can determine whether or not this particular statement is true or false. But number 6 is not a statement. Let's get a grand slam at Denny's after class. That's more like a suggestion. Like, hey, well, let's do this. And you don't say, is that true or false? We might say, should we or shouldn't we? But true and false don't seem to be concepts that apply to a sentence like this one. But they do apply to a sentence like this one. We're going to get a grand slam at Denny's after class. That's a statement, because either we're going to do this or we're not. Either it's true that we're going to go to get a grand slam at Denny's after class, or it's false. Okay? So number 7 is a statement, but number 8 is not. I suggest you take up the banjo. It's just a suggestion. Okay? Kind of like number 4, head over to the cafeteria for a burrito, which is kind of a command or a suggestion. Number 9, though, is a statement. Amity suggested you take up the banjo. She either made that suggestion or she didn't. So it's either true or false as a sentence here, and it's a statement. And I'm going to guess that you recognize that number 10 is not a statement. Who's going to be the next president of the U.S.? That's a question, and questions are neither true nor false. All right, so we've done a lot of talking here about truth and falsity, so we should probably dig into those concepts a little bit to determine exactly what we mean when we say that a given statement is true or false, and that's what we'll take up in the next video lecture.